So guys, time for an update. I had a lot more difficulty putting it in than I thought. On Friday I showed you that video of just the motor with the pan on it, just in, fit great. And then I decided to, just for, like I said, originally, I'm going to take it out and clean it up. Like, this isn't going to be its final place. I'm still going to take everything out, so don't mind the dirtiness. So I went ahead and put in the Gen 4 4060 and the Borg Warner with the proper transfer case adapter from a 96 to 97 Bravada that has a two-piece transfer case. If you guys didn't know, four-wheel drive transfer cases and the Bravada's all-wheel drive transfer case from the S series are clocked different. Not much, but they are different. Actually, I can actually show you. So, let me just reach over here. So this is a four-wheel drive transfer case adapter from a 94 GMC Jimmy, right? If you notice, this side goes to an early style 4L60, and then here you have your 5 holes for a adapter, usually I believe a 240 something. And then here we have a transmission out of this Bravada that I'm swapping. Let's see if I can. Said, pardon my shop, guys. It's fairly messy. So if I can actually show you what there is a difference on. So here's the transfer case adapter. Here is the one from my 94 Jimmy. It's a little different, but if you were actually to seat them, you'll actually notice, you could always tell from the bottom. If you notice on the bottom, if you look at this as a whole, this one has a slight clock to the left, as you can tell, right? And if we look at this all-wheel drive, it actually has a slight clock. See if I can get it better. A slight clock to the left. So, they are indeed different. They clock the transfer case ever so slightly for the all-wheel drive. So, doing that, I made sure to get, for a two-piece case, LS 4L60s are just a tiny bit bigger than the normal earlier two pieces, just because of the bigger torque converter, I believe. But even then, it's the two-piece case design is the same. So in 96 and 97 Bravada, because it still used a Borg Warner, we'll use that type of transfer case adapter. Normally what comes on the 4L60s is, so now they're 6-bolt on the back, so you can't use the old style. But most transfer cases now, especially Gen 4 stuff, is 6-bolt as well. So, with that said, I was able to kind of get it in. Then I started running into some issues. I've done this with my S10 LS swap, which was just a two-wheel drive swap. I ended up having to lift the cab just ever so slightly. But this time I actually had to put 2x4 in the rail to keep it up high enough. And guess what? Still would not fit. I'm shoehorning the whole thing, guys. Just remember, the transfer case, the transmission, and the engine. The engine fit before by itself. So obviously it was just the angle. I just couldn't get it. So I ended up having to leave it on blocks, and even then it still wasn't enough. That ultimately I had to take the pan off. Not because it won't fit, but because I just can't fit it all together in at once. So that leaves me two options. I can either put the engine in and then bolt the transmission up to it, which judging by the fitment, I mean, I might be able to get to it. Might. It's not a... But it does clear. Now, I've lowered the body already. This is actually just there. It's not holding it up anymore. So there is room after you bring it down. And I tried lifting up the engine and squeezing. Ultimately, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to drop the differential, shoehorn the engine and transmission in on its final voyage, and then bolt the diff in the front. Honestly, the only way I see it right now. Pardon my messy shot. As you can see, there's the pan. So, otherwise it's going to fit great. Just like my two-wheel drive, it bites into the AC. Then when I did my S10, I actually just fiberglassed the original box. Now, I'm wondering if the one from Holly will work. Just like I'm hoping the S10 specific headers will work on this, because, don't quote me, I looked up what 4.3 headers were, and they are actually the same for four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive, from what I can understand. So technically, if this really does place the engine about the same, the headers should point the correct way, where I can at least shoot it through, which there seems to be a big gap on this side. Sadly, I don't know if steering linkage will work. I'll have to hook up the rod back to the frame rail and see if it clears. Otherwise, I really need that to work. Because unlike my S10, which I converted to floor shift, I don't want to do this on the Bravada. I want to keep the column shifter. But on to good news. So I tightened the engine mount so they didn't shift at all on this placement, even with the oil pan off. So in theory, even if I don't know for 100% fact, the oil pan should bolt up and it should be the same as it was on the Friday video. So I'm not concerned there. Everything looks great. The really good news is that down here is where the really good news is. So if we look, pardon the fuel line just hanging down. There's the transfer case. There's the transmission bolted up. And the question now comes in, the whole point of using everything from the factory is for that. So this is the factory Bravada cross member. And if you notice, it's just kind of loosely attached. But here's the moneymaker. If you look at the bolt for the mount that goes to the transfer case adapter, you will see it's not perfect, but a little bit of shimmying, and you'll see that it actually lines up with the threads. I think I just need to shift it. Like I said, it's just loose. It's actually attached by one bolt on each side. But that'll work. And I've already test fitted if you notice, there's the front drive shaft. The front drive shaft is the correct length, which, if this bolt spacing is correct, the rear drive shaft is the correct length as well. So everything will work, and I won't have to order custom drive shafts at all. Using nothing but GM parts, it's going to be pretty epic. Oil panel fit fine. There's clearance. I don't know, you can't tell quite well, but there is indeed no clearance issues once I get it in. I'm still going to have to lift the body up to fit it in as one unit, but it will work. Pardon the messy interior. If you've never seen it, it is a 1994 Oldsmobile Bravada. It's the gold package, hence the gold trim. It has the digital dash, the overhead console with the compass and the temperature. Of course, these nice killer blue seats. Yeah, it was a bad engine. I originally was just gonna fix the head gasket issue it had, but And then I decided might as well go full force. You could tell it wasn't cared for towards the end. It had wear issues, needs an alignment, and it leaked everywhere. But been removing stuff, so my idea is to not, I really like the center console. I actually need a center console lid. This one's actually in good shape. It's just the rear lid I need. The idea is to keep the column shifter. Gold package. Oh, let's look at some options. So if you look, it has some pretty neat options. Specifically, of course, most people, every time they think of it, it has G80. Yes, it's a G80. It is also a GT4, which means it has 373 gears. So this will be a 4L60 with 373 gears and a 6-liter aluminum engine. Both the engine and the transmission came from the same Gen 4 truck, a 2008. I don't know if it was a Sierra or a Silverado, but it's aluminum Gen 4, also known as an L76, not the car version, the truck version. So it has VVT and, sadly, AFM. I plan to keep the VVT, hopefully, and delete the AFM. That's the plan, at least. I've been doing some test fitting. If you've ever seen my other posts, I'm going to use, if you didn't know, a Trailblazer V8 will actually have a Type 2 pulley, which is smaller. And I plan to use that along with a Holley R4 AC compressor in order to keep cool, you know, because gotta have that AC here in Texas. So that's the plan. Keep all that together. And then biggest thing is it did get hit in the front a little bit, so I need a front bumper. But most importantly, I sadly need a white Bravada grill. But there she is, folks. It's the video. Hopefully this video isn't too long, but hopefully you guys will keep seeing posts on my journey, so that'll be good. I am going to lift it a couple of inches just by using torsion keys, which it already actually has. If you notice, even with the whole weight, the CVE axle is kind of a little bit extreme. So I may actually drop the diff. eBay sells these kits to drop the diff so slightly when you're lifted, but we'll see. I still need to add the weight. So yeah. Yep, that's the plan. I plan to document everything, or at least have the know-how to, so if you want to complete a 4-wheel drive swap, because there's very few information out there on them, about according to which mounts you need, whatever, and, you know, share my secrets, so to speak, or my trial and error. One of the things I've learned with my S10 swap was the fact of water pump. The neck, most truck water pumps come out on the wrong side if you're planning to use the S10 water pump, or not the S10 water pump, the S10 radiator, which is more than capable for cooling an S10 engine. But if you notice, water pump on a truck comes out on the left side. Well, an L99 or a Camaro LS3, the water pump comes out on the right side, on the passenger side, or driver side is really what it should say. Because of that, and because Camaros had VVT, the height of both water pumps is the same. So they actually use truck spacing. So you can use that on a truck. You just have to remove the idler pulley and cut a little bit on the bracket, which I have. You notice I moved the idler pulley there. And then with the Holley AC, which works for truck spacing, it'll all work perfect. Anyways, guys, if you stayed at the end of this video, thanks. Plan to put Corvette 17-inch wagon wheels on it. May paint them gold just to keep with the Bravada Gold package. I think it's neat. In case you've never seen a Bravada Gold wheel, they're all kind of faded. If I knew how to keep them gold or clean them up, I might actually reuse them. But I think I already bought Corvette or 17-inch all-terrain tires for it. So truck also came with factory heavy-duty trailering. So it actually has, if you notice this 2 wires here, has a heavy gauge wire that goes all the way to the back. So you can use a 7-pin connector. So that'll be good. But anyways, guys, enough with the rambling. Hope you guys like this video. I'm not a mechanic by trade, so pardon my shop for being so messy. This feels just like whenever I was swapping my first S10. But hopefully I'll be able to provide plenty of information for anybody who wants to complete this swap. Especially in the header department. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. But I hope to solve that and have actual video and footage showing that. If I can tell you now, Dirty Dingo mounts, custom oil pan, but they say that the Dirty Dingo mounts work with a Milodon pan, so if you don't want to go that way. Only reason I went that way was because I wanted to keep a normal filter. I didn't want to run oil cooler lines or anything. Which, I don't know, if I have issues, I may end up doing that, but the deal is to keep everything and make it look just like factory. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.